unhelpful, and unnecessary. The Constitution we promulgated in 2020, however, is that this standoff is about a power grab and an assault on the Constitution that members of the National Assembly want to execute, and which will amount to a cruel betrayal of the people and an overhaul of our structure of governance. This development has been brewing for some time since the coming of the National Government Constituency Development Fund and the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, which are in the hands of members of the National Assembly. These funds give MPs the power to conceive, implement projects, and oversight them at the same time. Having managed to entrench this anomaly, members of the National Assembly are now attempting to determine the amount of money counties get, despite the clear constitutional provisions on the revenue sharing. The members of the National Assembly are also scheming to dip their fingers into more executive projects like road maintenance levy fund at the national constituency level, in addition to the National Government Constituency Development Fund and the National Government Affirmative Action Fund. The Constitution assigns 3 roles to members of Parliament, and this is universal. 1, representation; 2, legislation; and 3, oversight. I repeat, representation, legislation, and oversight, period. Execution or implementation of programs has never been and can never be the job of members of Parliament without creating a serious accountability crisis in our governance system to the detriment of us all. Parliament makes laws and ensures that the laws are implemented and followed. It is against this backdrop that I find the ongoing standoff between our 2 houses of Parliament over division of revenue extremely scary, unhelpful, and unnecessary. The Constitution we promulgated in 2010 guides the way the government and our country works. It divides the government into 3 parts, each with the power to keep the other parts under control. It further creates 2 levels of government: the national government and 47 county governments. The 3 parts you know: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. The 2 levels of government work in close consultation, as espoused in Article 6, subsection 2 of the Constitution, which states, and I quote, "The governments at the national and county levels are distinct and interdependent, and shall conduct their mutual relations on the basis of consultation and cooperation," unquote. Now, because MPs want to have their way with the abrogation of the Constitution and getting their pound of the flesh with regard to NGCDF, the Senate and the National Assembly are unable to agree on something the law is so clear about: sharing of the revenue between the national government and the county governments. Apparently, the National Assembly is in support of provisions that will lower the amount of money shareable to counties, against the provision of the laws of the land and the tradition established since the coming of the devolved units. Against the laws of the land, the National Assembly is supporting a proposal that would provide that any revenue shortfall in the country is borne by both levels of government. The result of this unhelpful and unnecessary deadlock is that the operations of the already strained devolved units are moving towards a standstill, with critical services in jeopardy. This unlikely and unhelpful fight over allocation of revenue to counties threatens a shutdown at the counties at a time Kenyans need the units to function optimally and help boost the country's increasingly fragile economy. The National Assembly is pushing for the proposed amendment to the Division of Revenue Act, in which they recommend a 380 billion allocation to counties.